and welcome to Trystology Talk, Sex and the Empowered Woman, where we will be having frank discussions about sexuality, female self-pleasure, and intimacy and play with partners. I am your hostess, Roylin Downs, and this is episode 5. So today, I'm going to talk about sexual health, and it's funny because I've talked a little bit about it in a couple other episodes in the way that we focus on other aspects of our health, but not sexual health. But first, I'm going to ask that question I've been asking at the beginning of every episode. Have you had your orgasm today? And I hate to tell you this, this is the second episode where I'm going to have to say no, because I have to do these episodes fairly early, and when I wake up and have to do these episodes, my brain is saying to me, oh shit, we got shit to do. I know, but that's what I say. I say I got shit to do, so I have to get up and go. So today wasn't the morning, so I'm gonna just say not yet. I haven't had my orgasm yet today, so I just wanted to make it real. It's really what happens in life sometimes, and even though I'm the advocate of your orgasm a day or owning your orgasm, it didn't happen yet. But I do want to say it was really cute this week that I realized, oh my gosh, I'm all stressed out. I haven't had an orgasm, and there was like one thing after the other that just kept coming up, and I was so freaking stressed out that I just looked at my husband and I said, that's it. I need an orgasm, and we need to do this right now. It was in the middle of the day. It was like the most inconvenient. It was hysterical, but I was so real. I was like, no, really, I need this. So it did happen. It was incredible and lovely, but it cracked me up. The phone kept ringing. We kept worrying that someone was going to show up at the house, but you know what? In the end, it was so worth it. So when you can fit it in, when it's inconvenient, it's also very, very fun. Make it happen, because it is very, very important, not only for our emotional, physical, and sexual health, it's also great for our relationships to have that connection and be connected in that way. So I just wanted to make it real and let you know, gotta have it. So I also wanted to add a new little thing into my podcast, and my husband's been encouraging me to do this, and I've been a little kind of lackadaisical about it, but I think it's right. What did I hear in the store this week that was just so cool? And it happened actually today in the courtyard where our little boutique is, and we have these windows that have stickers on them that say, have you found your G-spot? I have one, it's amazing. And a gentleman happened to be walking by today, and he read, have you found your G-spot? And he just read it out loud, and he was walking with his partner, and the next thing I hear, and they're like heading out of the courtyard, they're in the little tunnel almost out, I hear her almost shout, no, but you found it last night, and it was great. And he was like, oh, awesome. So it was like they didn't know anybody was listening, and it was just something they were sharing amongst themselves, but it was like perfect for me to hear, to share with you today. So find your G-spot. So are we going to talk about health? Yes, we're going to talk about health today. Sexual health for both men and for women. Because I talk about sexual health and having orgasms, which I am an advocate for, as you know, but it's only so far we've talked about in our 4 other episodes about oxytocin, endorphins, antibodies, and things that you can't get any other way. And all that is great and it's real. But there's also some other stuff that we haven't talked about that we really need to. And that is for women, we do Kegel exercises. We have to have our pelvic floor tightened, and especially as we age. And a lot of my customers are over 35, over 40, and well into their 60s and 70s. And so not everyone we talk about this with. So I want to talk to you about the sexual health, because when the pelvic floor for women are tightened, not only do we increase the sensation for orgasms, but we also tighten the pelvic floor, and we don't have any issues with urination and laughing and, things that happen as we age, and we don't focus on that exercise. It's really cute. I was at a women's event in December, and we were talking about these Kegel balls, different products that I sell. I had a table. I was next to a woman who had another table, and she heard me discussing the Kegel balls, which I'll go into as our health products today. But our doctors, we were talking about how our doctors ask us to tighten the pelvic floor. It's that thing where they suggest you sit forward and then you tighten, 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 tighten. People can be doing it in the living room, they could be doing it at dinner, they could be doing it in their car at a stoplight, which is what they mostly suggest for us to do. And you sit up and you do this. And I made the comment that, 98% of women don't do that. And this young woman who is about 26 looked at me and she was shocked. She said, "What are you talking about? You mean all these years I've been doing them and nobody else does them?" And I just had to laugh because she felt like she'd been cheated. Like, I've been doing all this work and no one else is doing the work, and I could have just used these Kegel balls and I would have been fine. So, I have to tell her, it's okay. It's good that you've been doing them. A lot of us that didn't do them into our 20s, 30s, and 40s are paying the price now. But by strengthening the pelvic floor muscles, which is the outer third of the muscles of the vagina, we can assist in helping make orgasm easier. It'll help with bladder control, and it'll help with restoring the muscle tone after childbirth. And it is great for having our partner feel us during lovemaking as well, because we can actually tighten around our partner. So how do we do these? We've talked about how our doctors tell us at a stoplight to do them. You can also do them while you're doing your dishes or in a meeting. You're kind of bored in a meeting or you're excited in a meeting, and you can tighten. So it's like pulling in and up while loosening the stomach muscles. It's just focusing on the pelvic floor muscles. So we've been told this by our doctor, most of us. Not all women know about this because, as I said, at this women's event, we were talking about the pelvic floor, we were talking about tightening it, and some women were like, "Oh my gosh, my doctor never told me that." And of course the others were like, "Hey, nobody else is doing them, I'm the only one." So the easiest way for us to do them, and we do need to do them, is to try and find a tool that can help us. Now, doing them on your own is great if you remember to do them, but if you need some assistance and some help, I'm going to show you a couple of tools that make it fun to do our Kegel exercises and our pelvic floor exercises. So I'm going to mix our toy section into our section about sexual health. So at the store, we've carried Lalo, Luna beads, and they have two different sizes. They're about $59 now. We've also carried the Jeju Kegel exercisers as well. But one of my favorite ones right now that are, not vibrating, not doing anything, kind of just the low-key, versatile, are the Roylin S Kegel balls, and they come with the 4 balls, as many of them do, but these are silicone coated, not hard plastic, and they're only $30, which for most women, that's a price that they can afford, and they want to do these exercises. So these Roylin S, if you're looking on the video, you can see, but if you're not, I'll describe them. There's 4 different silicone balls, all of the same size, and they all vary in different gram weights for weight. So this light one is really, really light, like almost, so light it'll blow over. This one is a little bit heavier, and then they almost double in weight, and then the dark purple one is the heaviest. So what happens is most women won't insert these by themselves because just a little round silicone ball is hard to get out on its own. And yes, you can insert this into the vagina. people have been doing this for years. The Benoit balls, the tiny little metal balls, have been used in Asia and China for a long, long time, and the weight of them helps them fall right out. But these can be inserted into the vagina with a little tool as well. The vagina is a circle, so it is enclosed, so whatever goes in will come out. You may just have to bear down or press to get it out, or use the 2 fingers to pull it out. But this particular tool has a beautiful, like, round holder for each of the balls, and then it's got a nice soft silicone tail, so that once it's inserted, and yes, they just get inserted right into the vagina. Oh, I have my vulva puppet. We'll just share with you. You insert it fully, just like you would a tampon, and then you've got this little string that will hang out, and then you can just pull them out. And what I recommend is starting with 15 minutes a day, and I kind of call it our morning coffee routine. So you get up in the morning, you insert them, you go do your breakfast routine, could be 15 minutes, could be half an hour, it can go up to 45 minutes a day, and then you take them out and go to work and do whatever you got to do. But all that movement and walking around, what happens is your muscles are like exercising to hold the weight of the balls in, and so what you're doing then is tightening the pelvic floor, and by adding the weight you are increasing the exercise by time or by weight on a daily basis. So you start with the first weight for a week and do it for 15 minutes a day. If it's falling out, 10 minutes. If it's staying in, increase it to 30 minutes. And just like you would with push-ups or with sit-ups, you're not going to do 100 push-ups the first day. You're going to do 5. You're going to do 10. And so the 10 to 15 minutes a day is plenty to be able to start a practice. As I always say to my customers, the Kegel balls only work if you use them. So using them is the most important. Not like buying a book and sitting it on the shelf and you don't read it. You really, if you're going to buy them, try them. Make sure you use them and work with them. So as I said, you can use these Kegel balls, but what's happened over the last couple of years is that we've also had some vendors that got some really creative ideas for Kegel exercising. And I've had customers who have said, I don't want to do that half-hour thing. I don't want to think about it. I want it to do the work for me. And so Lalo has this really fun, it's called a hula beads. So Lalo's hula beads is remote controlled, and it is something that rotates, gyrates, and vibrates. And if it looks like it's fun, which you can see on the video, it actually is. So you can insert it into the vagina like this, and so it'll move around and it will do its thing, and your body will try and hold it in. Or I suggest inserting it upside down so that you actually get a lot of movement on the G-spot. Can be kind of fun, and letting it just kind of do its thing. Time yourself, 20 minutes, half an hour, let it go, have a good time. It is waterproof, it's rechargeable and quiet. So if you do insert it upside down though, you see the string is on the interior part of the vagina. Just put your 2 fingers in and then just pull it out this way. It has a little nice round bulb and then a little neck, and so it makes it for a nice little place where you can grab it and hold it. So the hula bead is kind of fun with the remote control, and something that can actually be used with a partner and used during lovemaking as well. I've recommended using it internally during oral sex, which can be kind of fun to have something internal. And the last Kegel exerciser that we'll go over before we go into a couple of men's sexual health things is the swan kiss. And it's actually called the swan squeeze kiss. And I just turned it on. And what this does is it's got this, I'll try and describe it for those that can't see it. It is a little bulb, and then it comes around in a kind of a C shape, a reverse C shape, and has these little like lips or this little tiny flutter, butterfly-like thing at the end. And what happens is this can be inserted into the vagina, and when it's squeezed with the pelvic floor muscles, it has a flutter that can hit the clitoris. So it's kind of like a reward system for anyone who decides they want to practice Kegel balls and Kegel exercises, but have a little play with it as well. I've tried it and it is kind of fun. It is a little shocking to see that your muscles can just tighten around it, and you can see how hard the vibration is, because when you squeeze it more firmly, the vibration's a lot harder, a lot stronger. But the fun thing about this toy is, like the hula beads, you can use this toy during lovemaking as well. So you can squeeze it to get to the vibration you want. You press the button and then it'll stay vibrating. So not only is it a great Kegel exerciser where you get rewarded while using it, but it is also a toy that can be used for partner play. So those are two of my favorite little toys. It also has the ability to be taught patterns, and it'll repeat them over and over. If you like a certain pattern, you squeeze it to those patterns, and then it'll repeat that. So it's a fun toy. They call that kind of an intelligent toy. So the Swan Kiss is another one of my favorite for women. Now for men, we got a different subject. It's the prostate is for men's sexual health, and at some point we should have a gynecologist in to kind of elaborate even more fully, because I know that some of my listeners are going to have questions about the Kegels, and I know we're kind of just briefly like skimming over just to make sure everybody knows about the sexual health aspects of the Kegel exercises. But the same would be true for the male prostate. We should have a urologist in to kind of talk about, you know, all the aspects of prostate health. But the one thing we talk about with prostate is men over 40 tend to start getting prostate issues. So the prostate needs to be massaged, or it hardens, it swells. So one of the ways to avoid prostate issues is to have it massaged. Easy enough? Okay, let's massage the prostate. Well, the challenge is that for men, the prostate is in the anus. And a lot of men don't want to go toward the anus, into the anus, to do anything healthful. Just doesn't quite feel right. But it is something that is very, very important. And so we're going to talk about that for a second. By massaging the prostate, the male prostate is actually the male G-spot. And if we're familiar with what happens with a woman's G-spot, a female G-spot is one of the key ways for a woman to achieve an orgasm. So the same can be true for men. Male prostate massage does help to increase a man's orgasm, and the statistics show that it can increase an orgasm, and that includes seminal fluids and any kind of fluids and orgasm, upwards of 3 to 10 times the traditional orgasm. And, you know, it's hard for me as a woman to relate to that, and a lot of men have a little bit of difficulty relating to it. But sometimes that statistic can help men get over that awkwardness of having the prostate and the male G-spot in the anus. So just something to think about. There is kind of a reward of having the male G-spot massaged because of this intense pleasure. So how did we find out about this? There's a company called Aneros, which we love because their toys and their products for men and for women are pretty incredible. But what I'm holding right now is the Aneros Helix. And this Helix, it's kind of cool to hear the Aneros story, is that they are actually a medical company that was designing prostate toys to massage the prostate, to increase men's health and issues with prostate. And what they found when they designed this, and if we had, and I forgot to bring it, but I guess we could, that we don't have a G-spot toy to kind of show you. This is the identical curvature that women want for their G-spot toys, is exactly the same, 1 to 3 inches and up here. So this is created anatomically correctly for a man to insert and press onto the G-spot. There's a little handle to massage it, so a partner can massage it, or a man can tighten, like women do with their Kegels, and massage the prostate with that. And so what they found out when they were doing these studies on improving the massage tools for the prostate was that men were having intense orgasms. And so a tool like this Aneros Helix, and we have a number of different tools by Aneros, different shapes. I've got a more advanced Progasm sample here, and the Progasm, for those that can't see it on the podcast, is probably twice the thickness of the Helix. So it's just a little bit more advanced. So we're looking at an entry level with the Helix or the UFO, which I'm not showing you right now, but the Progasm is definitely a little bit more advanced tool for hitting the G-spot and massaging the male prostate. So those are the tools. You can't go wrong with trying any of them. If you want a lesser priced version, you get the originals, the original UFO, the original Helix. They're more hard plastic. They don't give as much. The Aneros Helix SYN and the UFO SYN are silicone coated. They're softer. They're a little bit more user friendly. Red and black, of course, which are more, a sex toy version of more clinical white toy for medical, but they're, in my opinion, a little bit kinder, nicer, gentler version of each of those toys. And then what you'll find is we've got a couple of toys that are great for prostate stimulation that are silicone coated and vibrating. I have a educator, Deborah Sandal, who says never use a vibrator on the G-spot, which I am not a proponent for. I love G-spot and vibration. The same could be said for a male prostate. Do you need to have vibration on the prostate to have it give pleasure or to use it for sexual health? No, you don't. You don't need to have vibration. And sometimes I recommend having a toy that has vibration so that you have an option. But if you don't want to use the vibrator on the prostate or on a G-spot, then you don't have to. So this is the Lux 3. And it is a vibrating tool. There's also a more advanced Lux 3 Plus, but this is a kind of a more basic one that we sell in the store. And this one, you just hold the vibration. It does massage and vibrate the perineum. And then you've got this nice fullness that will massage the prostate when it's inserted. We also sell a lot of the Black Pearl by Vibratex, which is a little bit more straight, a little bit more, maybe a lot more intense in vibration, and that's a great product as well. So you've got some choices for men's sexual health. It really does have to do a lot with the prostate. Also, there's some statistics about the more orgasms that a man has, the longer he might live. I think we've heard that from the Harvard study on aging, all of us. The more orgasms one has, the longer one might live. So that's a kind of fun statistic that you will always hear me quoting. And the final thought about our products that we're showing today is that we also have a number of resources in our library of books that we offer online and in the store. One of the books, Our Body, Ourselves, is a women's health collective book from Boston that is a great book on every subject having to do with women's, every aspect of sexual health. And I can show that to you for our people viewing. But we also have Charlie Glittman's prostate book, as well as a number of books that have to do with men's health and women's health. We've got The Hardness Factor, which we have right here, for men for erections, and a subject that we'll discuss in the future as well. So do check out our book library. We've got phenomenal books there. So thank you for joining us. We love our listeners and glad that you are with us. Make sure to check us out online and make sure to have your orgasm a day. I'm Roylin with Trystology Talk, Sex and the Empowered Woman. We'll see you in our next episode. Thanks again for joining us. Trystology, for passionate well-being, it's okay to look.